Okay, I'm beginning to record right now. Hey everyone, welcome to 1.13 Burndown. This is Monday, 11/26, and I've copied the link to the minutes in the chat. Please add your attendance if you've not done so. And the usual disclaimer, this session is being recorded and will go on YouTube shortly after, so please be mindful of what you say. With that, let's get started. So as for the release status itself, I resorted to calling it chartreuse as of yesterday, mainly because all the critical PRs that we were pending merge all gotten over the weekend, and at this point we are monitoring CI, which seems to be a little flaky. We'll wait till we get to CI signal. But the big CSI PR that was going to go in on Wednesday to enable backward compatibility with 1.13, that got merged, and the upgrade tests that were red whole of last week turned green over the weekend. So that was one of the good things that happened, but we are seeing quite a few fakes as a fallout after that. So that's why it's still kind of in a yellowish green status. As for timeline, we are still in code freeze, and RC1 is targeted for tomorrow, end of day tomorrow. And as per the calendar, we would come out of code freeze end of day 11/28. That's Wednesday. But one of the thoughts I had was since most of the tests were passing, I was toying with the idea of lifting code freeze a day earlier, giving us more time to thaw. But I would want input from Josh on CI signal before we make the call. So the only other item there was to sync up with kubeadmin folks, just to see if there's any pending PRs they plan to get in for any critical fixes, and also wanted an update on if there's a PR out there to bump the support in kubeadmin to 1.30. I see Tim on the call. Yes.
It's Tim Fogarty, not Tim Sinclair.
Yeah, Tim Sinclair. Okay, we can circle back to it after we discuss CI and other things. So before we proceed, any questions on the timeline itself? Cool. Cole, test infra?
No updates here. Everything looks good on our end. I did make a graph for just the Kubernetes master branch, just so that's a little easier to view. But that's all.
Okay. I will, of course, I'll keep you posted if we plan to come out of code freeze slightly earlier, but it's just FYI for now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, then next up is Josh, CI.
Okay, CI signal is nervous. So first, in the immediate thing in terms of RC1 and lifting code freeze, we have a new blocking failure as of this morning in master, which means that if we given the failure in the particular test, if we fast forward, this is going to also be a failure in SIG release 13 blocking. I don't know exactly what's triggering it, but for Coastmaster default, we have a storage failure that's been 100% consistent. And so it really looks like something's broken.
I think it just resolved itself.
Yeah, the latest run passed. This
really?
Is annoying. Yes.
Yeah, it failed 3 times in a row and then went green again.
Yeah.
Although there's another storage test failing.
But then a different storage test failed.
Yes.
Right, yeah. So it's not consistent, unfortunately.
Yeah. We need to, so there was, okay, I'll let you continue, Josh, and then.
Well, basically, I mean, from looking at the tests sort of across the board, we had this one CSI blocker and upgrade downgrade that got fixed over the weekend, but now we have a bunch of other very frequent test flakes.
Yep.
it does not feel like that's stable.
There was one. So are all the flakes? There was one issue targeting all the CSI flakes.
Yeah.
That is that the 71383?
Hold
Yes. The third one, subpath failures.
on. Yeah. Oops. Oh, what just happened?
And
Sorry,
then-
it apparently went into weird debug mode in GitHub. Okay. So yeah, so we have subpath failures. We now look like, as of this weekend, have some other storage flakes that are happening, at least, So it's hard to call. It's like individual tests may only happen, flakes may happen a third of the time, but for some tests like COS slow, some storage test is failing 100% of the time. By run, it varies which storage test, but some storage test is always failing.
It looks like most of these are also subpath related tests. It's just failing for one driver versus another driver.
Yeah, I think from the storage side, we highlighted subpath outside of the volume tests as being problematic for CSI host path. Are you seeing any issues outside of those set of tests?
There was the one that was failing whole of this morning, but then it resolved. Let me ping the link to that.
So just real quick, for that issue you did identify, Saad, what's the mitigation plan for that?
Right now, we're looking into it. It looks like it's a test issue. So most likely it'll be a fix for either on the CSI host path driver, which is a test driver, or on the test itself.
Okay.
So
for that issue, the same set of tests are running with the GC persistent disk driver as well as in-tree drivers and is not having any issues. So we're pretty sure this is a test issue with that particular set of tests.
Josh, is there a place where we can, where you have a list of all these flaky storage specific tests? Because I know there's there are a couple of network tests as well that were flaky over the weekend.
Yeah.
If we could get that.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and put them on the subpath test issue. Because if it's a problem with the test job construction, then we still need to fix that before release. Because these are blocking jobs, and saying that they're failing because the test is wrong is
yeah. There's somebody working on the subpath test failures right now. Hopefully, we'll have a PR by end of day for that to clean that up.
Cool. Okay.
The second issue that was shared with me here, the failing detaching volume should not work when. So that test was actually introduced over the weekend as part of a unrelated PR. It's a new test that went in on the 23rd. I think that test is just inherently flaky. And there's another issue I think already open for it where the author, Hamanth from Red Hat, is already investigating it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So we'll look for those to resolve. Okay. I'd like to have those resolve before we proceed onwards, honestly. Particularly given that we have a couple of other things we're waiting for word out. There's some new SIG network tests that are failing, and they're failing in non-blocking test jobs, but they're failing in several jobs. And so I'd like to hear from SIG network on the significance of those failing. And then we need to also hear back from, well, this is again not necessarily considered blocking, but the well, wait, these are not consistently failing. Okay, no, so never mind about the conformance. We're going to bug VMware, but that's not a blocker. So, and it's just considered a vote against lifting code freeze early. I'd like that stuff in first.
Yeah. Is the affinity issue the only network blocker we saw over the weekend, Josh?
Yeah,
that's
hold on.
I'm just trying to get a list of all these that we need to go behind today and tomorrow. has also. Okay.
Hold on, I'm checking on an old one.
Sure. And then there's the soap job that isn't running.
Yeah, that's a new one, right? And then there's right, and then there's right. The soak job isn't running, and yeah, I think the Affinity is the only network one that's still open.
Okay.
And they haven't. It's new. They haven't had time to respond to it yet. So
Okay.
yeah, and soak is not running, which again, it's a non-blocking job, and it wouldn't be a problem except that there are some identified flake issues that people were working on that are only really visible in the soak job. So without it running, there's no way to see if those are resolved or not.
Looks like Sen just nuked the cluster.
Okay.
We'll wait for that. So as of now, there's the two two storage issues, the one with
Right.
all the subpath failures, and then the detached volumes, and then the one SIG network, and then the soap job.
Yeah. One of the things that we're keeping our eye on, and this has been actually true for the whole course of the release, integration is flaky.
Yeah.
Apparently for a variety of reasons. Somebody just brought up a new issue with the CRD tests. And that's a potential blocker because integration is both an an integration test and a pre-submit test.
Mm-hmm.
So if the flakiness gets worse, it will become a de facto release blocker because we won't be able to tell what's going on.
Yep. It was super flaky whole of last week. We were like blocking so many PRs on it.
While that is true, that is unfortunately nothing new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like I said, it's not that it's a new thing that's going to block 113 in particular. It's just that if we get a huge spike of flakes, starting on Thursday or Friday, we'll end up delaying the release because we won't be able to tell whether they're flakes or whether there's a different problem.
Okay. All right. So then keeping CI signal in mind, I'm saying no as of today for the early lift of code freeze. We will make a call tomorrow as we see things merge.
Yep.
Okay. And Tim, are you back on? Tim?
Updated Zoom
Awesome.
as well.
All right. So I just wanted you on the call to, if we were going to lift code freeze early, I just wanted you to be aware. And the second one is the question around the PR to bump kubeadmin.
Oh, we don't need to do that anymore. We've fixed the internal logic in the 112 cycle. So we've actually set it up so that it should just work, right?
Okay. All right. So we are still planning to get an RC tomorrow. So cool. I saw that we used to do that before RC. So that was me.
Yes, we used to do that. We fixed that problem in 112. So we no longer need to do that.
Cool. Okay. And okay, then that's good. Next on bug triage issues, Nico.
Oh yeah. It's I put yellow status mostly because of the CI blocking issues. So yeah, nothing much new to add. The previous queue has been emptied over the weekend, and there's new critical PRs being merged.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that is pending merge right now, and is blocking on some tests.
Yep. I think we're failing on the integration one again.
I saw the COPS one. It's the first link I have there.
Okay. Yep.
But might be flakes. I'm not sure. Yeah, COPS and GC. The second PR is the incoming for the flaking test subpaths. It's
okay.
up there. Yeah, just now, just like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, so this is for the this is for the subpath flake?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
So just a meta point. I'm not really sure where I can get this information from, but historically, by now, we're starting to keep track of what were the counts of issues yesterday and what are the counts of issues today to help us understand if we're actually burning down or if things are going up. Is that information available somewhere?
Yeah, it was 0 yesterday, and it's 2 or 3 now. It's all new. As I said, like the queue has been emptied, so it's only new issues being generated.
Sure, I understand you giving that information verbally. I'm just like, in previous release burn down docs, I've been able to scroll back in previous things and see what the issue count was.
Yeah.
Is there a spreadsheet, or am I not seeing you updating that, or are you telling me you're giving the information during your update, but the only way I can historically go back and see what our counts are to view the recordings?
Okay, I'll have the information written down then.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I think Aaron was referring to the burn down template where, the numbers are captured in the text there.
Okay, I do see counts on like the November 16th.
Yeah, if you could put that for whole of this week going forward, Nico, that will help get the track.
Yeah, I'll put it back. So one question I have for this issue, is it relevant for the, I don't think it's necessarily release blocking, but there seems to be a bug with storage, uninstall, install.
This is the 71424?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ping that here. Oh, you have it here.
Yeah, so this is something we discovered this morning. It's something to keep an eye on for today as we get a chance to debug it some more. This is new functionality that was added in this release, and it seems to be racy. So we have a meeting going on right now to discuss this issue. And we'll decide probably before end of day how to proceed with this. Either we're just going to pull back the unregistration feature, or if the fix is trivial, we'll go forward with the fix. But we'll let you know by end of day what the scope is.
My paranoid instinct would be to add this to 113 and then look for y'all to kick it out if you're like, no, this isn't a problem, we'll track it.
Yeah. So either ways, we'll have a PR for this. Is that right, Saad? What does it entail to take it out of the release?
I think it's like 3 or 4 lines to remove it from the release. So it's fairly trivial to remove. We just need to make sure that the side effects of removing it aren't catastrophic or anything that we don't expect. And at the same time, if the fix is trivial, we might just move forward with the fix. Or alternatively, we might just hold off and say this is an edge enough case that we do nothing. So it's possible there might not be any PR either. So we're investigating all 3 of those options.
Okay. I will keep an eye on this. I'll add it to the milestone.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Any questions before we move on to docs? Okay, Tim, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Cool. So no changes in the numbers from docs since the last meeting, but there has been progress on a lot of PRs. So several of them are ready for approval now. But I do expect that. So I'm going to kind of do an approval spree today and ping everybody to make sure we get kind of a final word on reviews. But I expect we'll have a few stragglers after the 27th. We'll see how much we can close today, and hopefully we'll close more tomorrow as well. So I guess we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah. I don't think the docs merge deadline, a lot of folks are aware of it that much. So probably just pinging these to let them know that it is tomorrow. Be super useful.
Yeah, I've been in all the communications. I've been telling them the 27th. But yeah, we at least we do have a little bit of leeway with that.
Okay, cool. Let me know if you need us to follow up, but then I think you guys are on top of that.
Yeah, we'll do.
Cool. Mike is back for release notes. Hey, Mike.
Hey, y'all. How's it going? Happy to be back.
Hey.
Would you like me to give a quick update on what the week's plans are for wrapping up release notes stuff? Sure. So basically, Dave released no shadow for 113, and release notes lead for the next release, has been awesome about leading the charge last week while I was gone and wrangled most of the SIG leads to add in their major themes. A bunch of them, said there's no major themes for their SIGs, and we still have a few to chase down, but only handful, like 2 or 3 or so. So on the docket right now for next release notes steps. Sorry, I just wrote it into the. Let me pull up the minutes. So next steps are import the latest notes from the last time the doc was updated. So it's like a week or 2 since the last import. So that's mostly a lot of the commits going in that kind of enabled features or graduated features. So there's a long list of the new features section, which is great. So that'll fill out, and then a few here and there. And then really like the content of the document is pretty much there, and we just have to go through it all, organize the document so that based on the specific content that we have this release, it kind of flows naturally, and then go through and copy edit all of the notes so that they use consistent tense. That's often a big one, and proper grammar and what have you. So it's a lot of making sure that we have all of the final information now, and then just going through copy editing everything and preparing it for import into the repo.
Cool. I see that Saad stepped out. There was some verbiage there regarding the backward compatibility not being supported from how the CSI stuff was designed earlier. So I think I left a comment in the doc to clean that out now, considering we put the support back in. So just if you could follow up on that, that would be awesome.
Sure.
And while we have Aaron, do we need either docs or release notes for the etcd2 deprecation?
I don't plan on having any major docs. I'll probably have something in the release notes that's just a, hey, FYI, we're deprecating it. And then it is one of the pending docs PRs that Tim is waiting on. There's a migration guide about migrating from various versions of etcd2 to 3.
Okay.
And I did not have any time to rip out the migrator code. So somebody could, in theory, use that. But I want to update the docs to at least reflect the state of today, to say that as of Kubernetes 1.6, etcd3 was the standard, and then as of Kubernetes 1.13, etcd2 is no longer supported. But for earlier versions of Kubernetes, you can still use this migrator tool to migrate from 2 to 3 if you so desire. I see Liggett unmuted though, so maybe you've got comments.
I added a note to the release notes already. I would hesitate to point all consumers at the migrator image. That was specifically for people who had set up their etcd clusters using some of the etcd images that we provide.
Yeah, I'm really like, I would love to just rip it out wholesale. I just kind of feel like it's almost too late in the release process.
No. I'm not suggesting we make any changes.
Okay.
The text I put, take a look at the text I put in the release note.
Okay.
It points people to their cluster deployment setup.
Yeah, it totally does depend upon the cluster deployment. I think like if there's COPS added support for etcd3 finally. So like, for example, if you use COPS, you should go look at their thing.
Yeah. I just want to avoid pointing people at an image that they think will migrate their etcd no matter what setup they used, and then they run it and then get themselves in trouble.
Completely agree. Okay.
Cool. So there is both docs and release notes coming for this.
I think the release note is there, but we'll review it and docs coming.
Awesome. Cool. Comms, Caitlin? Hey.
Hey, yeah, so we are in great shape. We are sending out the blog post and media FAQ to the media today under embargo. And then all I need before Tuesday of next week is I just need a final sign off from Cluster Lifecycle on the Kubadium and Core DNS sections.
I'm reading those right now, actually.
Awesome. Yeah, I know they've been reviewed a few times, so just a last LGTM would be great.
Cool. All right. So as of today, just focus on the CI and probably that one storage bug. And then once we reconvene tomorrow, I'm hoping to have a better sense of timeline for code freeze. Cool. Any other questions, comments? Awesome. Thanks a lot, everybody. I hope you have a great Monday. See you all tomorrow.
Happy Monday.